let's move on to illustration 4. What do we have? In the top left-hand corner, we have a symbol for God and a cloud to symbolize God's presence. Now here we see a succession of themes, ideas, concepts, which surface in the Old Testament narrative. And down here we have a funnel. And on that funnel is a symbol of Jesus, the servant king, carrying his cross, resurrection, the Holy Spirit. What's the message? No matter what we find in the Old Testament, no matter what the theme surfaces, we have to ask, what did Jesus do with it? How does he interpret it? Now we're saying, no matter what is back there, we have to ask Jesus, what is your take on the matter? How do you reinterpret all these things? Well, if I were to go back and explain what he did with each one, we would be here for a long time. But what I would like to do is to pick up only one of these concepts, and I'm just going to insert a picture, which is not on the back of the timeline, to help us see what Jesus did with the concept of holy war. So we will just look at this one which we've included in some of our new materials. The subject, war. Early in the narrative, we read of the conquest under Joshua. So we see Joshua blowing a ram's horn, and here we have aspects of the conquest. They captured these territories here, Jericho, Ai, then the south, then the north. Then, when we come to the life of David, we find David building a big kingdom, and it's now very political, very political. He gains control of the south, then the north, and he expands his kingdom by dealing with all of his neighbors. And it's power, palaces, fortresses, royalty, but a rather bloody, brutal period. When we reach the prophets, things get switched. And now God is saying, because you have ignored my covenant, and because you are running after other gods, and you care nothing for my will, I'm going to come after you like a lion, like a bear robbed of her cubs, like a leopard. And I'm going to use the Assyrians and the Babylonians and the Egyptians to discipline you, my people, because you won't listen. Well, they didn't listen, and God came through the Assyrians and Babylonians and so forth. And off they went to Babylon. Now, when they came back, the hope developed that we are now going to get those neighbors who've given us such a bad time. Now, just note, I've got 7 little swords, and these signify the Gentile neighbors living on their borders. And a little later on, we're going to see why 7. But the point is this. When Jesus came along, what did he do with their idea of holy war? He said, you haven't picked the enemy. There he is, and he's got you. So we're seeing this satanic face and this circle of humanity turned in on self, and Jesus is doing battle with it by living as his Father intended all of humanity to live as a servant, and he goes to a cross, and he lives the life of a servant without limit, and he conquers the enemy, and he rises from the dead, and he said, come on board. Let me now free you from that power, and let me free you to live as my brother and sister in my Father's kingdom. Profound stuff, but we need to think it through, and so does our world.